Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. First of 3 bowl games today on ESPN, and even though it's really cold today, perfect landings for the skydivers. And it's a home game for the 6-6 midshipmen of Navy. The Middies here in full force at Navy Marine Corps Stadium as always, and it's just a 3-hour drive for the fans of the 6-6 Cavaliers of Virginia. So a great atmosphere here today in Annapolis. Clay Matvick, Kirk Morrison, Alex Cordery down on the field. Happy New Year. Welcome to Annapolis. And both of these teams, Kirk, can finish with winning records. Yeah. Virginia hasn't figured out how to beat rival Virginia Tech. It's a 14-year losing streak now, but all in all, a pretty good second year for Bronco Mendenhall.
Well, in your second year, you go to a bowl game, and a lot of that has to do with his quarterback, Kurt Benkert, who can set some records today at UVA. But what he's been this year has been a guy who not only has taken this pro-style type of offense geared around him, he's got some playmakers, but I think it's been his leadership that's really helped his team out get to a bowl.
Navy didn't have the season it wanted to, losing 6 of its last 7, including that heartbreaking loss to Army earlier this month. But they have found a quarterback in the process.
Yeah, and that quarterback is Malcolm Perry. Here's a guy that's been a slot back, a former quarterback in high school, but it's to a point where you got to put playmakers on the field, and Malcolm Perry is that. With 2 90-plus yard runs on the season, the guy's electric. He can score, take it the distance anytime the ball's in his hands.
Alex, a win today can help both of these teams forget about those losses to their rivals.
Clay, Navy's 1-point loss to Army was devastating, but quarterback Malcolm Perry says this is a tough, resilient group that doesn't quit. They're using that loss as motivation. They've really been getting after it at practice. They've been wearing pads every day, lifting each day, and taking advantage of working out right here in Annapolis. So in front of their home crowd, Navy looks to avoid their first losing season since 2011.
All right, Alex, stay warm down there. Navy took advantage of the home field a couple of years ago, beating Pitt here in the Military Bowl. They'll try to do it again today in cold conditions, 25 degrees. Look at those flags popping. Look at how the fans are bundled up. It's 25 degrees, but with the wind, it feels like it's in the teens. These teams first met here in Annapolis in 1889. Navy leads the all-time series, which has been dormant since 1994. The conduit, the great Hall of Famer George Welsh, a coach at both of these great institutions. He would like to be in attendance today. The 84-year-old recently had hip surgery, so he's not here. We know he's watching. So hi to George. Happy New Year. And we're going to celebrate the military here today for sure. Great atmosphere here at Navy Marine Corps Stadium.
Oh, unbelievable atmosphere. Just the fans just driving up to the stadium. A lot of fun, but we're here for a football game. I can't wait to see these two teams tango here in Annapolis.
Virginia in the white uniforms. Joe Reed back to return. Navy in those sweet Blue Angels uniforms. That'll be Bennett Mooring ready to kick off. 7-6 looks a lot better than 6-7. That's what's on the line. A winning record for both of these two. As we're underway here in the Military Bowl, Joe Reed for Virginia on the return, and it's a good one. He's going to go. Joe Reed, his second kickoff return for a touchdown this year. It goes 98 yards to start the game.
You couldn't ask for a better start if you're Virginia. It's middle, return right. You start it toward the middle, and then you break right. You find out where the opening is. And like every special teams coach always says, you make one guy miss. That has to be the kicker. You make that kicker miss, and it's Reed racing to the end zone. I'm telling you, fans haven't even gotten their seats. An explosive play by Reed, starting his game off, showing the speed early on. Terrific job from Virginia getting on the board first.
And A.J. Mejia tacks on the extra point for the Hoos. Second kickoff return touchdown for Reedy at a 92-yarder against Georgia Tech earlier in the season. And what does this do for Navy? They have not even taken one snap from scrimmage, already down 7-0. They're on their heels.
Well, for Navy, it's still, look, we're still going to run our offense. Like, that's one play. We're still going to stay on script, stay with what our game plan was coming in. But you look at the other side for Virginia, this is now, look, they've had a couple days off. You know, let's be honest. The season ended a while ago. You've had bowl practices. How would you start the game? Usually it's sloppy, it's penalties. But a start like that, if you look at that sideline down there for Virginia, they're excited to be here. Plays like that now get everybody up and going. Now it's the defense's turn to return the favor like Reed got them on the board.
And Navy, not a team that's built for a comeback.
Yeah.
And they're already down here on the first special teams play of the game. So now Brian Delaney kicks it deep. Hangs in the air, and it's a short kick. And good field position here for Navy to start. As they'll take over at their 31-yard line. Let's take a look at the impact players, Kirk, brought to us by the U.S. Navy.
Well, for Navy on offense, Craig Scott, number 82, he's going to have a big day because of Tyler Cremona, the wide receiver. He's out. Also running back Chris Hyde, the leading rusher after Malcolm Perry, the quarterback. Those two guys have to have a big impact on Virginia on defense. The number 1 and number 2 tacklers in the ACC, Micah Kaiser, Quinn Blanding. This is their type of game. A rushing offense for Navy. Those are the games you can't wait to go out and make some plays.
The number 2 rushing offense in the country, second only to Army. The midshipmen will start from the 31, and Perry hands off to Chris Hyde. He is a good-looking fullback from Oklahoma City. He's likely going to get 10 to 15 carries today, but this offense averaging 343 rushing yards per game. Virginia has seen the option before, again beating Georgia Tech earlier in the season, and they've had some time to prep for Navy. As High gets another carry stacked up after maybe a yard pickup, but it's always challenging for defenses to prepare for option football.
Well, understand this, when you're playing against an option team, it makes everyone play one-dimensional. If you're a normal defensive player in a normal pro-style offense, you're able to run around, make plays against a triple option attack like Navy. You have to play your keys and read your position, what it has to do each and every play.
On 3rd down and 2, it is High again, lowering the shoulder pads and churning for a first down to the 44-yard line.
Yeah, I talked about Chris High earlier. He's the big back, 6'2", 224, and that's what you're going to see, him just getting the ball, putting his head down to get as many yards as he can.
Not only second in the country in rushing yards, but number 1 in time of possession in the country, close to 36 minutes. You see Virginia, their run game has struggled most of the year on the option. Across the midfield stripe to the 49-yard line. John Brown. That's an 8-yard run off the pitch from Perry. And the tackle made by Quinn Blanding.
And watching Perry, how do they get to the outside? I mentioned Quinn Blanding earlier, the safety. He's going to have to run the alley. Can Malcolm Perry reach that alley and get some of those plays to the outside?
So first down for the midshipmen. The 44-yard line, Perry. And he's going to keep it this time. Malcolm Perry inside the 40-yard line. You know, Kirk, I know you are very impressed with Perry's athleticism. They think he's the most dynamic runner they've had here at Navy since Keenan Reynolds.
Yeah, you mentioned that name, just Keenan Reynolds around here at Navy. And people get excited. They get pumped up because we're talking about production. And Perry, it's to a point where you got to put this guy on the field, a former slot back, put him at quarterback, and you've seen the production of this offense go up entirely in the last 4 games.
Over 1,000 yards rushing for Perry. 3rd start at quarterback. He's only got 2 pass attempts this year, looking to throw, but in trouble. And the Cavaliers wrap him up and throw him down near midfield. Malcolm Cook, the Sam linebacker, leading the charge, but there were several Cavaliers there, including Andrew Brown.
That's one of the things that we saw yesterday at practice with Virginia. Malcolm Cook, he's going to play sort of an outside linebacker / defensive end, but he does his job. He stays home, defeats a block, and goes gets the quarterback. It's a tremendous job by Malcolm Cook, not biting on the fake, staying there, beating a blocker, and going to get the quarterback.
Huge play for the defense, which knows it has to force 3rd down and longs today to have success, and they do, but it's a big run for Gargiulo. Anthony Gargiulo, the fullback, getting all of that sack yardage back and then some. That's a run of 29 and a 1st down to the 21-yard line.
Well, you're thinking of a situation like that, they're going to pass that, but watch the center, watch the blocking up front. They find a nice little path and that thing opens all the way up. Just tremendous blocking up front. Gets Gargiulo up there. Big play.
Back to Chris Hyde. And then they bounce it outside. Actually, that was Bonner. And he's going to be close to a 1st down for Navy. They're going to mark him out. Actually, at their 13. So it'll be 2nd down and short. But Navy fans happy to see Gargiulo making an impact in this game. He did not play against Army because of a foot injury, but he has been explosive in recent games. High again. It's going to be close to a 1st down. Quinn Blanding, another tackle for Virginia. He has the most tackles in UVA history, 479 coming into this game. Not able to make the tackle before the 1st down. But Blanding hasn't missed a start in 4 seasons for Virginia. Playing his final game as a Cav today. 10th play of this drive for Navy, and Perry dive to the 9. Brenton Nelson, this strong safety, making that tackle. The ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year, number 28.
Yeah, the one thing when you watch the defense, they're doing a terrific job of being patient, allowing Perry to get to a point where they're forcing him to have to make a decision. That's how you stop the option attack. Force the quarterback to make a decision quicker instead of letting him allow himself to have a 2-way go.
They had the 1 pass attempt, which resulted in a sack. It's been 10 carries, no passes on this opening series for Navy. The pitch, Josh Brown takes it wide right and down to the 1-yard line. Blanding with the tackle to keep him out of the end zone. That's going to be 1st down and goal to go.
Yeah, just putting the ball on the perimeter that time. Just the old look toss play, get a tackle out in front and another fullback as well. You just want to pick up a key block, and you had 2 of them there, offensive lineman, you get the fullback out front. And the one thing about Navy, when you look at their running backs, they run hard. They never stop their feet. They keep the feet churning and always trying to get an extra inch, an extra yard at the end.
Zach Abey, the other quarterback for Navy, hoping to have an impact today, does, as he takes it in from 1 yard out. And Navy answers back. Zach Abey, 6'2", 212 in those goal line situations. Ken Niumatalolo likes to use his bigger quarterback. And now Mooring comes on for the extra point. Bennett, of course, missed that 48-yarder against Army in the swirling snow in Philadelphia. He's had a good year. And he ties this game at 7. Good response by the midshipman.
Well, the response is just be who you are. Know what your offense is all about. That's Gargiulo, the fullback, with the big play. Then you get down there by the goal line. You give it to the guy that knows what to do with it. That's Abey, tying this thing up 7-7.
Great start to this Military Bowl here today in Annapolis, presented by Northrop Grumman. Tied at 7 as you look at Bronco Mendenhall. 11 straight bowl seasons at BYU against Virginia. To a bowl here in year 2, probably ahead of schedule, as you touched on, Kirk. Program still in transition, you might say. But how about the start for his team? Joe Reed, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Navy responds with a beautiful touchdown drive of 12 plays.
Yeah, now do we see get another kickoff here?
Well, they're going to stay away from Reed. They bounce it at the 20. And as he gets there to scoop it up, Navy quickly covers him up. Here's Jordan Ellis with the first carry of the day for Virginia. And we talked about it before, Kirk. It is a run game that has not been great. Just 99 yards per game on the ground for the Cavs. That's going to put more pressure on Benkert to really move the chains today.
Yeah, that's the one thing, the reason why people around Virginia have talked about Benkert, because he doesn't have too much of a running game, but yet it's been his arm. They've put the game pretty much in his hands, and that's the reason why they've had so much success this season, and that's why they're here at this bowl game.
Trying to throw is Benkert, and the pocket swallows him up inside the 25-yard line. And Benkert is sacked for a loss of 6 as Justin Norton, the senior outside linebacker, got in there.
Yeah, Justin Norton, watch the delayed blitz. He's out to the outside as if he's covering, and then he blitzes late and just not enough time by Brandon Pertile to get out there. That's a terrific job disguising the blitz like he's not coming, then comes late, picks up the sack.
So 3rd down and long for Virginia. Benkert flushed out of the pocket, coming to the near side, got rid of it. The throw is low to Donnie Dowling and incomplete. And Virginia is going to go 3 and out, and that has been part of the problem for the Cavaliers offense this year. Slow starts.
Slow starts and 3rd and longs. That's a situation where the sack on 2nd down pushes you back. It is a passing situation, and all Navy does is they bring their guys. They stun up front, and they force Benkert on the run, and they force an errant throw.
Good punter in Lester Coleman, kicking for the first time. Craig Scott from the 39. Good return across the 45-yard line, and terrific field position for the Navy offense, which put together a 12-play scoring drive the last time they had it. Great pictures of George Welsh. He played quarterback here at Navy, then as a coach led Navy to 3 bowl games before becoming the winningest coach in Virginia history. Inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame in 2004. Turned 84 in August, and again, if it weren't for recent surgery on his hip, he would be here. Virginia honoring him with stickers on the back of their helmets today. Chris High with another carry for Navy. So they've got great field position out near midfield on this 2nd series for the midshipmen. But George Welsh, the conduit between these two great institutions, who played almost every year from the late 70s to the early 90s, meeting for the first time here since '94. Hole up the middle, 1st down for High. And this running game is really starting to find its traction. That's a 7-yard pickup.
Yeah, well, the one thing you got to understand this is the Virginia defensive line. They've had a couple guys out due to injury, suspension, so they're a little short up front. So not a lot of depth there for Virginia. And right now, Navy taking full advantage of that, attacking the middle of this Virginia defense.
Yeah, depth, especially at defensive end, is tenuous today. And the ends are always important in a triple option attack when you're trying to defend it. Case in point. And Edge does a pretty good job holding its ground, getting Malcolm Perry down to the turf. Malcolm Cook from his linebacker spot comes up and helps make the stop. But 2 defensive ends, Juwan Moy and Stephen Wright, were suspended before the Virginia Tech game, stripped of their scholarships. So they've had to move a tight end, Richard Burney, over to defense to compensate. That's how thin they are on that side of the ball at certain positions.
Well, I think that's why you're going to see Malcolm Cook, who plays an outside linebacker position. That's why you see him more on the line of scrimmage in this game than what you've seen all season long.
Here's Perry running down the line. He'll flip it late. Good pitch. Josh Brown. Penalty flag. As Brown gets inside the 15-yard line, but there are a couple of markers down. And another flag flies late.
There were 2 fouls by the offense. Holding, number 80 in the offense. That penalty is declined. Personal foul, number 58, 61, correction, number 61. That penalty will be enforced 15 yards. First down.
The holding on receiver Terrence Laster. And the personal foul on Andrew Wood, the right tackle. And this is something that's been a problem this year for Navy. Too many penalties.
You know, when you get the ball on the outside, there's the holding by Laster. And then at the end of the play, you just got to be able to be smarter than that. That play's over with. And Wood just doing a little bit too much, especially the officials right there. They're going to get that one every single time. Post-play, the play's already over. A little too aggressive there at the end. I get it. Hey, big man, they get all the way down there. You get excited to make a big block, a big gain. But that one there, Mr. Wood has to hold up.
Now they're trying to figure out exactly where to spot the football. But you can see that Navy's penalty yards this season ranks 26th in the country. Most teams would take that, but not Navy when they've been ranked 1 or 2 in fewest penalties for the last decade. This year they've really dropped off. And it's been mistakes like that that have hurt them in games. We saw that in the Army game, the 2 false starts on that final drive that took Mooring really out of his field goal range. And it led to a 1-point loss.
That's what Coach Niumatalolo told us. You know, you asked him, say, what's been different, you know, the second half of the season? He said, we just did things that just weren't us. We've committed penalties. We made mistakes. We didn't execute like we did in the beginning of the year. On that last play, you saw it's a great play, but when you don't execute and you make a mistake, it backs you up.
First down for Navy after the penalties, spotted at the 27-yard line. Anthony Gargiulo in the backfield. He had that big run on the opening series, and he'll get it again. Gargiulo could have gone to Penn State as a preferred walk-on, also an offers to play college lacrosse, but chose the Naval Academy. And he has been great down the stretch. 51 carries for 303 yards and 3 touchdowns in his last 3 games coming into this one. Again, he did not play against Army. There's a glare on the field. Ball is at the 22-yard line. Perry cuts it up. Big run, still on his feet inside the 5. Touchdown. So dynamic. Malcolm Perry got touched but not taken down, and Navy has its first lead today.
There's nothing scarier to a defensive coordinator than Malcolm Perry on the edge. And if you don't force a pitch, if you don't force him to make a decision, you allow him the two-way go, he's going to hurt you every time. Not only does he make a guy miss, but he can outrace you to the end zone.
The junior out of Bentonville, Arkansas. And Navy leads it 14-7. Navy doesn't need the pass. Malcolm Perry and their great fullback Anthony Gargiulo getting it done. So Virginia ready to get it back. Ball comes out. Olamide Zaccheaus trying to get back on it. Along the sideline, it rolls out of bounds, and Virginia's going to have it. That's the end of the first quarter. And after taking that opening salvo on the kickoff return by Joe Reed, all in all, a great first quarter for Navy, and they have the lead here at the Military Bowl, presented by Northrop Grumman on a cold, windy day in Annapolis. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Military Bowl, presented by Northrop Grumman as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. Clay Matvick, Kirk Morrison, Alex Cordery here in Annapolis as we get ready to start the second quarter. This game has been nicknamed the Poly Bowl by the coaches with Polynesian heritage. Navy's Ken Niumatalolo, Sean Nua, and Virginia's Robert Anai, Mark Atuaya, and Vic So'oto. Famika Anai not in those pictures, Virginia grad assistant. But definitely huge Polynesian influence. It was like old home week for those guys yesterday at the luncheon in D.C.
Yeah, a lot of respect between a lot of these coaches, growing up with each other, knowing each other. A lot, like you mentioned, Polynesian pride here at the Military Bowl.
Just 36 yards of offense for the Cavaliers. They get it to their best playmaker, Joe Reed, and he'll lunge ahead for a handful as we go down to Alex.
It's been really humbling for a lot of these coaches. Nia Matalolo, Atuaya, and Anai, they all grew up in the same small town, Laia in Hawaii, and actually Laia is home to the high school, Kahuka High School. Anai and Atuaya went there, and since 1970, close to 20 NFL players have come from there. So it might be a small town, but it does deliver some big-time talent.
That pass is incomplete. They'll bring up 3rd down and long. And, you know, that's a town of about 6,000 people in Hawaii. That's very impressive that that number of college players and professional talent has come out of that small group.
Yeah, it is. And I went to San Diego State and played with a lot of different Polynesian players from Hawaii, and just the pride that they had and the work ethic. That's the one thing I always learned. The work ethic and the pride they have in Hawaii, man. It was outstanding. It was fun to play with a lot of Polynesian players.
5 receivers set for the 3,000-yard passer, Benkert. Setting, throwing deep, near sideline. Looking for Levrone, and it is picked off. Intercepted by Navy. Sean Williams, the leader of that midshipman secondary, picks off Benkert with 11:16 to go before half.
And I mentioned him a little bit earlier in the game as one of my impact players. Junior Sean Williams just locating the football, goes up and grabs it, getting the ball back to his offense. Get excited, Navy.
Navy free safety Sean Williams with an interception. They looked at it. It's going to stand at the 14-yard line. Navy takes over.
Yeah, all I see is that when you look at the football, it has a little movement, but inconclusive as far as does his hand come away from the football. So I know people don't want to hear this. Does he survive the ground with possession of the football? I think the replay shows that it's inconclusive.
It was hard to tell.
So you got to stay with the call on the field, but just a terrific job of the safety going up, grabbing that football, high pointing it 2 hands, and bringing it in. Good job, Sean Williams.
Malcolm Perry and the mids go back to work. He keeps it, gets across the 35 to the 37-yard line. An injury report from Alex.
Running back John Brown III was out of this game with a right knee injury. A little bit ago, trainers were looking at him on the trainer's table. You could tell he was in a lot of pain. He was wincing, and just tough for the senior to come out of this bowl game, guys.
Yeah, it's too bad. The senior from Durham, North Carolina, Nelson, absolutely sawed him in half. The ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year with a huge lick. So Brown is done. Malcolm Perry gets him about a yard away from the first down line to gain. 3rd and short. So John Brown out, but they do have Perry, and they have a pretty good stable of running backs to keep this machine going.
Yeah, especially here on 3rd down. This is Chris High territory. Number 33, this is where he usually gets the ball, or Gargiulo.
It's going to be Perry keeping it himself, cuts it up, big run. Into the secondary, spins out of a tackle at the 40, and gets close to the 30-yard line of Virginia. Quinn Blanding, Jordan Mack finally bring him down, but a huge run for the sophomore quarterback. Give him 33.
Yeah, that usually works as well. Malcolm Perry is just so explosive, and here another 3rd down. He gets everybody in front of him, gets the full back, he gets the other B back up front, and cuts back, finds a nice little area, nice little gap, and when he gets in the open field, just a tough quarterback to try to bring down.
Anthony Gargiulo comes back in. That was their 30th run today. Make it 31 carries for the midshipmen as Gargiulo gets that handoff. Eli Handback brings him down after a 2-yard pickup.
And down here, once Navy gets close to that red zone, they seem that they don't stop. They continue to run their offense. They get into almost 4-down territory here. So to me, they continue their offense regardless of where they're at on the field. Even with the positioning of how the field tightens up for them, they still run the entire gamut of their offense, especially to the outside.
On second down, Chris High, another good run. Bring up 3rd and about 3. You know, Bronco Mendenhall's defense, Kirk, has had a lot of time to prep for this option attack in Navy, and Mendenhall teams over the years have done a pretty good job against the option. He is 8-2 all time in his stops at BYU and Virginia, including that last win over Georgia Tech, but they have not been able to stop Navy today.
It's hard to emulate in practice. You can have certain different players try to emulate it, but Malcolm Perry's a different runner. They've had some walk-on guys at practice try to simulate the pace of Navy, but seeing it in real life and in person, it's tough for this defense.
Malcolm Perry, I don't think he got it. It's going to bring up 4th down and short. Jordan Mack with the stop, but Navy already over 200 yards rushing.
But like I mentioned, it's still 4-down territory. You get down here at this part of the field, to me, anytime Navy gets inside the 30-yard line, it's 4-down territory. Keep the ball in your quarterback's hands.
It will be Perry keeping it and sneaking through for a touchdown. Perry faking that pitch, tucking it away, and taking it in for his 2nd touchdown of the day.
I mean, that's just too easy. It's a check with me. He gets under center, scans the defense. And I talked about the wide side of the field. That's where you got more area to work with. And he had a two-way go. He can either keep it himself if it's there or have the option to pitch it. But this time he keeps it, races to the end zone for another touchdown, Malcolm Perry.
(21-7) Midshipman. 10th and 11th rushing touchdowns of the year for Malcolm Perry. You can see why they are so excited about the young man from Clarksville, Tennessee.
These just positive plays happen when the ball's in his hands. He doesn't have too many bad plays, but it's the B-back, we call him, or the fullback, Chris High, number 33. Watch the block by High. He gets up and he's able to go find 28, who's been a menace all season long. But you get that big block there. Now watch 28 here, Nelson, the missed tackle. It's going to be something that you got to make those plays. Here's the redshirt freshman of the year in the ACC. You got to make those plays, but that's the elusiveness of what Perry is able to do.
Now there's Virginia offense, which has really struggled today. We'll get it back. Zacchaeus trying to spark him with a return along the sideline, and he's nudged out just close to the 40-yard line. Well, the Virginia offense has really struggled. No touchdowns in the last 7 quarters. The only score today for the Cavaliers on the opening kickoff. Joe Reed ran it back 98 yards. Otherwise, this offense has been stymied. And there's another incompletion for Benkert. Great arm talent, but he hasn't been accurate today. He is now 5 of 15 passing for 41 yards.
And he knows he missed that one. That was an opportunity. That's a touchdown. And he double clutched it. He had it on the original, and you watch the double clutch. It's here, and he's got it right there. He's got to let it go. But just that little bit of a double clutch, that ball's got to be out of his hands a little bit sooner. Like you mentioned, we like the arm talent. Just got to get the ball there.
9 incompletions in his last 11 attempts, plus an interception thrown. There goes Reed in motion, 2nd down. Reed bobbled it, left it on the turf. And Navy's got it. 2nd Cavaliers turnover today. Tyler Sales with the recovery for the midshipman.
Tyler Sales, he's able to recover it. But it was Jarvis Polu, number 90, the one that was right there, makes a play. He gets up the field, and he almost takes the handoff, from the quarterback, running back exchange. 90 over the ball as well. 91 recovered, but watch 90. Nice little swim move, gets in. He attacks the football.
Now Reed just dropped it.
Yeah, I think Reed saw number 90. You get scared when you see a big 6'3", 292-pound man unblocked. Yeah, I don't think I want to hold on to that football either.
Plenty of time on the clock for Navy. Close to 3 minutes to work with. They don't have any timeouts left. Hey, look at this. Perry wants to throw. Sees nothing downfield. Pocket collapses. And that's going to be a sack for Andrew Brown. He's actually going to get back to the line of scrimmage, so no gain. Take away the sack. Second down and 10. Good run for Chris High right up the middle. First down and more to the 14-yard line. And if Navy can punch it in the end zone, it would be devastating for these Cavaliers.
I mean, he just runs through tacklers. It's 37 Jordan Mack. He's got him right in his sets. Just doesn't make the play there. And how many times have we seen Quinn Blanding, number 3, the safety, have to make a touchdown-saving tackle today?
Here comes Perry to the near side. It's a foot race. Did he get in? They're going to mark him out at the 1. A 14-yard run for Perry. First down, goal to go Navy.
I didn't see a foot go out. I think he extends the ball there. I think it's a judgment call by the officials there. I'm not sure that the tip of the football.
Zach Avey, he's got a touchdown run, and he's got another one on the quarterback keep. Touchdown, Navy.
It's all about the surge up front and the surge of that offensive line of Navy. Just watch how they get off the football and push the Virginia defensive line back. We talked about it earlier. The defensive line for Virginia, a little bit banged up, a couple guys out on suspension as well. But that surge by that offensive line of Navy to get underneath and get the push needed. And then you got a quarterback that's 6'2", 212. He just find a seam and fall forward. Touchdown.
Quick 4-play, 36-yard touchdown drive in a minute and 15 seconds off the turnover by Virginia. But what an impressive first half for the midshipmen, taking advantage of a couple of turnovers as well by Virginia.
Well, it was really about what they did after the opening kickoff. They let Virginia go down. They scored a touchdown, kickoff return for a touchdown. But I thought Navy settled in. They ran their game plan. They ran their offense. And now they're up 28-7, like you mentioned, converting on a couple of those turnovers.
Coach snuck away from us, so we're going to go to break. 28-7 at the half. Stay tuned after the break. The Mercedes-Benz halftime report with Adnan. Welcome back to the Military Bowl, presented by Northrop Grumman as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. Navy with a home field advantage today, taking advantage of it in the first half, leading 28-7. Navy doing what they do. 0 passes in that first half. 264 rushing yards, 4 quarterback touchdown runs. Meanwhile, Virginia Kirk looked very uncomfortable in that first half. The environment seems to be playing havoc with this team.
Yeah, it's just been Virginia outside of the opening kickoff. It really looked overmatched. The intensity brought here today by Navy, just didn't see it happening.
And Navy will start with the football here in the second half. The return out close to the 30-yard line by Scott. The kickoff return, the only real highlight for the Cavaliers, Kirk, in that first half.
Yeah, that's been the only bright spot. It was the kickoff, and Jordan Reed finds a way to, Joe Reed finds a way to get the middle return. Got the outside blocking, but watch the kicker. You got to get in the football position and make a play. I'm not so sure that that's a football position by the kicker. And Reed makes a nice little move and gets to the outside, but it's really been the Malcolm Perry show. And terrific blocking by his fullbacks and just giving enough of a crease for Perry to make the play.
This offense will go back to work. The midshipmen will get it in the hands of Daryl Bonner. Very impressed with Malcolm Perry, the quarterback, in that first half. 14 carries, 109 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and how he has handled the option situations, just like that last one we saw. Very good. at deceiving the Cavaliers defense.
I mean, he's taking full control of this offense now. You start to look at what Perry has been over the last couple weeks. They've been trying to find more and more offense and find the execution. Now I really believe that Perry's coming to his own. This is his offense now.
Perry keeps it. Clay Matvick, Kirk Morrison, Alex Cordery here in Annapolis, and we go to Alex, who just talked with Coach Kemp.
Yes, Clay. Well, after UVA started the game with a kickoff return for a touchdown, Coach Nia Matalolo told his team this game's far from over. He's very pleased with the way that they responded to score 28 unanswered points, but he says they got to keep it going in the second half and keep playing physical.
They have dominated up front, both sides of the ball.
Well, Alex talked
today.
she talked about it earlier. Physical. That's what they wanted to be, the more physical football team today, and they've shown it so far.
There's Chris High. First down. Breaks a tackle and gets inside the 45 of Virginia. Chris Peace was able to finally bring him down, but it's a 15-yard gain for Chris High.
He's one of the guys I mentioned as impact football players. Impact players in this game. Chris High, I mentioned, 6 foot, 224 pound, the B-back. And when you play against Navy, you play against Naval Academy teams, this is what it's all about. It's the effort. It's not going down to the ground with the first attempt. It's keeping those legs moving, keeping those legs churning. That's what Chris High did in that last run.
Chris High over 1,000 yards rushing the last couple of years. He's going to be a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps. Here's Perry running down the line. Decides not to pitch that time, and handback will bring him down after about a 1-yard gain. Ken Niumatalolo, in his 10th year as head coach at Navy, was a candidate to replace Bronco Mendenhall at BYU a couple of years ago. They have great respect for each other, and that's not a good sign for Navy as Perry limps over to the sideline.
Yeah, that's not good. He's been the playmaker. He goes to the sideline, but remember, they still have the backup quarterback who was the original starter, Zach Abey. So they have a quarterback that has got experience. He's thrown the football 71 times this year. He's also ran it for over 1,000 yards. So to have your backup come in, nothing really drops off as much as you would think.
Anthony Gargiulo. Not much. Third down and long. Let's go back to the play that shook up Malcolm Perry.
Yeah, it was just 58. Eli Handback goes down the line of scrimmage. He makes the play, but you see him twist Perry at the end. I think that looks like that left ankle, left leg gets a little caught in the turf. It's a lower leg injury for sure. We'll get an update on that.
And now Zach Abey, the bigger of the two quarterbacks that Navy has used this year, 6'2", 212 pounds, running the offense. But even that girth can't get away from Andrew Brown. Drop for a loss, 4th down.
Andrew Brown, one of those Senior Bowl invitees on this Virginia team, and this is the reason why he'll be playing in that Senior Bowl game. A lot of NFL scouts like Andrew Brown, a 6'4", 285-pound senior, and he just reads the get off. He watches that snap, and once that snap happens, he gets off. He's in the backfield. It's a nice jump on the ball.
So Owen White will come on for his 3rd punt. Daniel Ham stand back inside the 10 to return. Calls for the fair catch, and he dives ahead. Ball comes out. Navy's got it. Another turnover for Virginia. This one on special teams. Daniel Ham called for the fair catch, but he never caught it. And Elon Nash with the recovery for the Naval Academy.
That's one of those situations where you're running up to the football, and if you're not able to get 2 feet down and catch that ball, might as well just let it drop and let it, hopefully it doesn't roll inside the 10 or the 5-yard line. That time I think he probably could have let that one go, just not in the right position to field that punt.
Mitty's given a gift. Abey on the keeper. Now, I know it's a small sample size, Kirk, here, but the last few plays for Navy, you see a difference just without Perry in there. Zach Abey is a veteran, capable quarterback, but they've lost some explosiveness without Malcolm Perry.
Well, they lost the explosive guy in Perry. Like I mentioned earlier, he's had 2 plays over 90+ yards. He's a touchdown anytime that he has the ball in his hands. He can take it the distance. I think Abey, a little bit different, more of a guy who has the ability, but not that home run ability like Perry.
AB pitches it out to Josh Brown, one of the Browns out of that backfield for the Naval Academy. John Brown is out of this game with a leg injury. He was hurt in the first half. So Navy gets it inside the 5, 3rd down. Quinn Blanding on that last tackle for Virginia.
See, the play calling is a little bit different. With Malcolm Perry in, you can kind of run plays to the outside. I think with AB, a little bit different. You got to have more blockers in front of him. He's more of an off-tackle type runner, where I think when you put Malcolm Perry out there, he's a guy that can do those one-block quarterback sweeps.
AB, his 3rd touchdown run of the day. And look at Ken Niumatalolo, pumped up on that Navy sideline.
You talk about physical blocking at the point of attack, at the line of scrimmage. Watch Micah Kaiser, but watch the fullback coming right at him, 33, Chris Hyde. And that's a collision, trust me, in my day as a linebacker, those are the ones that you want to have. And boom, that's a quarterback in Navy running over one of the best linebackers, I think, in the country.
Bernard Mooring get another extra point. And Navy in complete command of this football game, 35-7. They capitalize on another Cavaliers turnover, their 3rd of the game. Navy expanding its lead to 35-7, 9:46 to go here, 3rd quarter. 10th anniversary of the Military Bowl, presented by Northrop Grumman. We've had a great few days here in Annapolis. These teams have spent their weeks prepping and staying in the D.C. area, and the team that has come out ready to play today is large and in charge, the Naval Academy. Meanwhile, Virginia has really struggled.
And Navy spent the last 2 weeks in pads. They wanted to get the physical nature of the game back within their football team, and definitely the more physical team today has been Navy.
Sakias on the return. Some bad news, though, for Navy as we go to Alex.
Yes, really disappointing news for Navy. Quarterback Malcolm Perry is out of this game with a right foot injury. He's been on the trainer's table. They put him in a boot. Actually, Coach Ken and several of the players have come over, given him hugs, and he's clearly visibly upset, crying on the trainer's table.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. If you saw that boot on, what a terrific performance by Malcolm Perry. We just hope it's not something that's going to linger in the next season.
They've got a capable quarterback in Zach Aby, who should be able to get them to the finish line today. Aby, the junior who made 9 starts prior to Malcolm Perry taking over the job. After that incompletion, Benkert going to work, throws to the outside, and yet another incompletion as this offense still can't get on track as we go back to Alex.
Clay Kirk, Zach Aby is all about toughness. Actually, in high school, he was a rugby player, a wrestler. So as we've even seen in this game, he will have a huge role for this offense next year. And you wonder what Navy will choose to do, but he's very dynamic and athletic.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ellis at the catch and gets close to the 45-yard line for the Cavaliers. Zach Aby, over 1,300 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns, and 800 passing yards, 7 touchdowns coming into the game. He's been effective in the way that they planned to use him, and that was in short yardage and goal line. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns today. Now maybe having to do a little bit more in the offense, but with the big lead, he's in really good shape. Benkert swirls out of the pocket inside the 40, and he'll walk out of bounds at about the 37-yard line. Kevin McCoy was in pursuit.
You know, with Benkert, this is a situation where right now, look, your team's down 35-7. So you need points here. You need to make good decisions with the football, but be smart about it. Don't try to force it into tight windows.
And now Donnie Dowling goes in motion here on 3rd down and a mile. They get it to Ellis in the flat, and Navy was ready for it. 4th down.
Another tackle by Sean Williams, number 6. I mentioned impact players again before the game started. Not only has Williams made a tackle interceptions as well. That's Kalen Williams there, but these safeties right now and cornerbacks have been playing outstanding. They've limited these wide receivers for Virginia. They just haven't given them any room, and Benkert just had a tough day.
Lester Coleman to punt. And can they keep it out of the end zone? Yes. Well done by the punt team of Virginia. Joey Blunt keeping it out of the end zone. Or did they? It is going to be a touchback. The look as we go to break. Navy is winning the battle on the field. They're winning the battle against the environment today here at the Military Bowl, presented by Northrop Grumman. 25 degrees, winds close to 10 miles per hour, so the wind chill at 16. Let's go to Alex.
Clay, well, things down here on the sideline aren't making anything warmer for UVA. Take a look at one of their heaters. It's actually, looks like it's broken down. They've been working on it for the last 20 minutes here, trying to get it back up and running. It's actually been smoking at one point. Fans were irritated, the bench was irritated, so some frustration down here as they're having some mechanical difficulties.
Maybe it's a good thing it's smoking. You know it's warm then.
That's supposed to be the warmest place on the field is the sideline. So if I see that thing over there smoking, that's not a good sign at all. You got to find those coats. Keep the head warm as well. Go find you a couple parkas.
They've got one heater that's still working, and you can see they've got about 5 or 6 guys huddled around it.
Embrace the elements is what they always say.
It's been a brutal day for Virginia. They've committed 3 turnovers. The offense has sputtered. Navy's got it back. Zach Abey in at quarterback, and he takes off across midfield and down around the 40-yard line of Virginia. Malcolm Perry out of this game with a leg injury. Zach Abey, a very capable quarterback, leading this offense now for Navy.
Yeah, he's capable. But if that's Perry, that's a touchdown. But Abey, like you mentioned, he's to be a backup, come in, and this offense doesn't change much. I think he's the better passer when you think about Perry versus Abey. But remember, he's still a 1,300-yard rusher. He can still get the job done, but this is what he's best at, throwing the football.
Looking for a receiver downfield, and it's incomplete. Intended for Brandon Colon, and you mentioned it before, Kirk, with Tyler Carmona out. He's their top remaining receiver. Can't make the catch there. So it'll be 3rd down, or 2nd down and 10.
But they take a shot. And that's what Abey's good at. Throwing the football, 800 yards passing, like you mentioned earlier. They can take more shots, especially when they get on this side of the 50-yard line.
First pass attempt of the day for Navy. The run game has been more than adequate. They'll go back to the run with Abey. And he's tackled near the 35-yard line. Micah Kaiser in on that stop. The All-American, great player and student, won the academic Heisman, the Campbell Trophy as it's called. Got his degree in foreign affairs, working on a master's in education. His last game as a Cavalier, tell me that guy won't be missed.
No, he'll be missed, but you can still probably see him playing on Sunday somewhere. He's that type of player. A guy that's going to be able to pick up a defense fairly quickly in the National Football League, and won't be surprised if we see a lot more of him in the NFL on Sundays.
Abey with the handoff to Chris High. Kaiser's going to go down as one of the all-time greats, not just on the field, but in the classroom at Virginia. So you see the grade point average for his undergrad, and now the Masters. He's got a 4.0 currently. And a big scholarship from the National Football Foundation. We wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors. Whatever that may be, he's got a bright future. Great young man.
You look at the production of Kaiser in college, you know, a 3-year leader in tackles in the ACC per game. The likes of Luke Kuechly, that's the kind of company that he's keeping as far as his production in the conference.
Navy calls a timeout. Brian Urlacher, who played the Lobo back position under Bronco Mendenhall when he was the defensive coordinator at New Mexico. You can see the guys pictured there the night that Micah Kaiser won the Campbell Trophy.
I talked to Brian Urlacher this week about Bronco Mendenhall and Kaiser. He said Kaiser's going to be a good football player, but I said, you got to give me a story on, Coach Mendenhall. He told me that when they first got together, it was Bronco's first defensive coordinator job at New Mexico. And here's Brian Urlacher, who's went on to be an all-pro linebacker in the NFL, but he was a safety for Bronco Mendenhall. And he said during the offseason, when they did those morning runs, that conditioning, that Bronco was the first guy out there running with the players and beating the players. That's been what he's brought to Virginia so far. And when you got players like Micah Kaiser, who kind of embrace that kind of toughness on the field and off the field, that's the reason why they've changed things around here at UVA so quickly and into a bowl game in the second year.
Kaiser's been very active again today. He's had to be against this run attack of Navy. AB, the pitch out to Chris High. He's got the first down, and the midshipman will stay on the field. Micah Kaiser, even though this is likely going to be a losing effort for the Cavaliers, barring some great comeback, he always gives max effort.
Yeah, always max effort. He's always around the football. We mentioned one of the leading tacklers in the country, led the ACC in tackles the last 2 seasons, but he's also a Senior Bowl invitee, so he'll be able to take his talents to the Senior Bowl in front of those scouts and coaches. And like I mentioned, he'll be playing on Sunday somewhere. I know that's for sure.
I think a lot of people would agree with you. Chris High picks up about 6 on first down. Micah Kaiser, 10 tackles today. Quinn Blanding has had a bunch of tackles this year and also in his career. Those 2 guys are going to be going to the Senior Bowl along with Benkert and Brown.
It's a bowl game that I played in, the Senior Bowl. It's a great opportunity in front of college scouts, the NFL scouts who've been looking at college players, but the head coaches, the NFL scouts, general managers, everybody's there. It's a great first impression for some of these players.
There goes AB again. That's his 4th touchdown today. That was Malcolm Perry-esque. Who says that guy doesn't have some mobility too?
Are you saying there's still competition at the quarterback at Navy?
Going into the final quarter of the year, it's still wide open.
I mean, we came into this game talking about Malcolm Perry, but it's been Zach Abey that has really taken over today. I mean, he's just had a wide open creases to run, and like I said, he's a different runner than Malcolm Perry. More of a guy that takes his time, more patient, but when he finds an alley, he goes.
Navy turning this into a rout, 42-7 at the Military Bowl. Virginia, it looks like today that they ate about 10 chili dogs each before taking the field because they have been sluggish and have made a lot of mistakes. They'll have it at the 22-yard line to start this drive.
You start to look at Virginia, they've got 1 more quarter left in 2017, but the competition is already starting for next year.
Incomplete. Dowling couldn't bring it in. We've seen a couple of plays like that where the receivers have had the ball right on their hands and couldn't bring it in. That ball is hard as a rock. Still does need to be caught, and especially when Benkert needs a little lift. You got to help your QB out.
Yeah, they haven't helped him out enough today, and it's been penalties, mistakes, personal fouls.
Receiver makes that catch. It's Butts, the tight end, out at the 37-yard line.
We've seen breakdowns in the offensive line, letting guys run free, and it's been tough sledding today. I think Navy, to their credit, has been the more physical team, and to me, they play more relentless.
They've handled this weather better, no doubt. Been tougher.
Yeah, I think they expected that, though. They knew that. they wanted to be the tougher team, and they've proved it through almost 3 quarters so far.
Final 40 seconds of the 3rd quarter. Benkert looking left, in trouble, spins out of the pocket, gets away from the pursuit, now changing direction, still in trouble, and he'll hoist it to the Navy sideline. 4th down. Tyler Sales, Justin Norton nearly got to him for the sack. The Virginia punt unit will come back out on the field.
Yeah, I think you just named the entire defensive line because they all deserve credit. Just watch the effort. Just watch all the blue shirts, the blue jerseys. Just relentless. Sales there at the end. We mentioned him earlier. Just a fanatical effort of Navy.
And Navy defense flying around like the Blue Angels. Those Blue Angels uniforms.
Rolling on the field as the punter's knee was on the ground.
Oh boy.
He possessed the backward snap.
This could be another huge special teams gaffe for the Cavaliers. Did Lester Coleman, the punter, take a knee when he tried to field the snap? That's what the officials are claiming, and that they're going to look at on review.
Yeah, they're going to probably take a review on that one. We know in the college game, when a knee goes down, which to me, I believe his knee goes down to field that play, that is now, the ball is now blown dead. And you watch it here, watch the left knee. Watch the left knee, it's down. Oof. And then the ball's right there, it looks like about the 24-yard line. An unforced error. And this is what's been the story of the game for Virginia. It's been turnovers, mistakes, and that one right there was an unforced error. Ball over to Navy.
Navy takes over at the 23. Now pounded inside the 20 with Chris High.
That may be the last play of the quarter there. Is Navy starting to sense it now that they've really tried to break the will of this Virginia football team.
They're good at taking the air out of the ball. And they will do that to start the 4th quarter as we flip the field. Navy in charge, 42-7. You take away that kickoff return for a touchdown that started this game by Joe Reed.
Yeah.
Virginia has been a no-show in this one.
42 unanswered points for Navy. That's the game.
We start the 4th quarter, 42-7. Midshipman. Virginia, 3 turnovers, 2 turnovers on downs today. And Navy in the red zone again. Zach Abey running down the line, cuts it up on the far hash, and we'll get to the 15-yard line.
You know, the one thing watching Abey when he runs, a little bit different. We've been watching Malcolm Perry throughout the game, but Abey comes in, and I love the way that he bellies back just a little bit. He attacks the line of scrimmage, but he gives just a slight bit of ground to allow the blocks to develop, to get the fullback and the backs out in front to secure their blocks, and then that's when he puts the foot in the ground and goes north and south. A different type of running style, but still very effective.
Abey will be back next year. Malcolm Perry will be a junior next year. The quarterback position, Kirk, is going to be in great shape in 2018 for Coach Ken. It's going to be a 4th and very short for Navy, right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, but I think still the biggest thing for Navy is they've lost to Army the last 2 years. And the quarterback situation has, you know, kind of been up and down a little bit. Can they secure one guy to just be that guy? We thought it would be Perry. For the most part, he gets injured today. Now, Abey's showing people why he was a starter in the beginning of the season.
And Chris High gets very close to the 1st down yardage needed.
This is Navy's offense. They continue to just grind you out. 3 yards on 1st, 3 yards on 2nd. If you don't get it on 3rd, you feel like you got to just enough where you can lean forward and get the 1st down. And that's what High does, the big 6 foot, 224-pound running back.
Navy now 3 for 3 on 4th down. Getting back to Malcolm Perry and that Army game, he had 250 on 30 carries. I thought Perry was really good against the Cadets, as 80 looks really good on this run and gets to the 4-yard line. He had that 68-yard touchdown run in the snow and the ice in Philadelphia. Malcolm Perry was really good in that game. It's just some mistakes like you talked about led to them not winning it. They had a chance.
Well, they had the chance. It was just the opportunity at the end, the 2 false starts, forcing that field goal attempt to be a little bit further than it should have been. And they probably win that game against Army. But Avey is showing you right now why he was the starter to start the season.
They'll take it down to the 1.
And I think you start to look at the consistency just a couple seasons ago that Keenan Reynolds, the quarterback here, before, number 19, the one that everybody remembered, a 4-year starter at quarterback. And I think that's what Coach Ken Niumatalolo has kind of been looking for. Who could be that next, I think, Keenan Reynolds? It's a tough job, but the consistency that Reynolds presented every single year, you knew what you're going to get. And I think right now, when you look at the Navy offense, they've got 2 viable quarterbacks right now that play at a really high clip. They give you a little bit something different.
On their 62nd run of the day, they are held out of the end zone as Josh Brown is cut down behind the line of scrimmage. Juan Thornhill has made a few big plays today. There's one to keep Brown out of the end zone.
I love the way these safeties have attacked. You got to go run down those plays to the outside, to the alley. The only thing is that the quarterbacks, they give you the illusion like the ball's going outside, and that's where Avey and Perry have cut the ball back for touchdowns.
Chris High did not get in. It'll be 3rd down and goal to go.
Just talk about his name, Quinn Blanding, number 3. I mean, this is a hard-hitting safety, and you're talking about standing up the big back for Navy. There he is flexing his muscle. He realizes that that's a big-time play when you stop a big-time back like that.
Still playing hard. AB, the keeper, got in, touchdown. On the 9th play of the drive, the 5th touchdown today for Zach Avey, the quarterback who didn't even start this game for the midshipman.
You mentioned didn't start the game, but puts in a little bit of a spin cycle there. Initially denied the end zone, but Blanding, no wrap, head down, and Avey with a nice little spin move for another touchdown. Touchdown number 5.
Morin coming on for the extra point attempt. 49-7. Navy now over 400 yards of offense. Virginia has looked bad. Back here in Annapolis, Navy has dominated, I would say, from the opening kickoff, but that's not true.
Well, after the opening kickoff,
he brought it back 98 yards for a touchdown for Virginia. But ever since that play, it's been all Navy.
49 unanswered points.
Reed's going to get to the 20 this time. That's where he's stacked up, so no return for Joe Reed. 49-7, final seconds here at the Military Bowl in Annapolis, presented by Northrop Grumman. The Virginia offense getting a nice run from Jordan Ellis. Too few of those today for the Cavs. Speaking of implosions, this offense for the Cavaliers, incomplete again. 163 yards of offense today. It's going to be a new season low for the Cavaliers. Niumatalolo, his offense, 452 yards. Zach Avey was terrific, 5 touchdowns. The starter, Malcolm Perry, was very good before getting hurt.
But you can see which team had more experience playing in a bowl game. I think Virginia, great season for them to get to a bowl game, but definitely Navy showed they had much more experience in playing in one.
Final play of the game, Joe Reed, who started the game with that electrifying 98-yard kickoff return, was the only offense for Virginia. But there is a penalty flag down. And if it's against the defense,
downfield offense, that penalty is declined.
Doesn't matter. Offensive penalty. And that's the final, 49-7. Navy was terrific today. They finished with a winning record, 7-6 on the year. The future is bright, especially at the quarterback position, Kirk.
Yeah, well, now you've got 3 different guys that you can kind of roll out there, but the top 2, Zach Abey, what a game. You mentioned the 5 touchdowns, and Malcolm Perry, he did his part to start the game. And this was the first game of 2018. I think you can put a bow on 2017, but the future is definitely bright for Navy and Coach Ken Niumatalolo.
4th bowl win in the last 5 years for the midshipmen. Meanwhile, Virginia back in the postseason for the first time since 2011. Completely outplayed. And we said it before, we talked about the weather conditions. Can't help but feel that the team that was better prepared to play in these cold conditions won it and dominated, and that was Navy. Let's go down to Alex.
Thank you, Clay. Zach, what can you say about this win for Navy coming in such decisive fashion?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great team win. Something we needed for a while. We've been, we haven't won in a while. So, and coming off the Army game, our spirits were low. So it was a great thing to have a big win like this.
This offense was clicking on all cylinders today. What allowed you to be so effective?
We were just all on the same page. We knew the assignments we had to do. O-line blocked great. Everyone blocked great. We just executed it, and that's the big thing.
And in what ways can a win like this get the mojo, propel things going into next season?
I mean, it's huge for going into the offseason. Going in a win like this against a great opponent in the ACC, it's huge for the offseason. So, we're going to hold our heads up high.
Zach, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Clay.
Despite completing 0 passes today, Navy was 0 for 1, but the quarterbacks were still the overriding story. Great quarterback play from Navy as they win it convincingly, 49-7 over Virginia in the Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. Happy New Year, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the game here today. For Kirk Morrison, Alex Cordery, and our entire crew, I'm Clay Matvick. Navy, big winners. Now the post-game ceremony on ESPN3. We send you to the college football scoreboard with Adnan.